All right, your first U.S. Open experience. Just take me through. How did it feel?
Felt great. I wasn't as nervous as I thought I would. I mean, I was nervous on the first tee, and then it just kind of dissipated. But it was good to be around all the pros and put my game up against one of the best courses and all the professionals out there.
When we spoke a couple weeks ago, you said, "Well, I'm not nervous right now, but who knows when I go up to the first tee." When you were walking up to that first tee, take me through. Were you nervous? What's going through your mind? Your name is called out, and you're like, "Holy cow, I'm here."
Yeah, I can tell when I get nervous because I kind of pace and I keep walking around. And I noticed that I was doing that in the first tee. So I kind of just made sure I stayed in one spot and continued breathing through my nose and my mouth. And it didn't last too long on my first, I mean, my first tee shot wasn't too bad. I definitely felt the nerves. It was definitely a lower nervous, like a pit essentially. And it was done after one hole because I was able to make my hole or hole out my shot and continue on.
When you're at that moment, obviously, and in the moment of the tournament, you're focusing on your game. At any point, did you look up around, the crowds and kind of take it all in of like, hey, I'm here. I'm playing against the best in the world at the U.S. Women's Open?
No, not necessarily. I did a good job of having tunnel vision and staying focused and having like blinders on. Um, there was one point where I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. It was like my second to last hole, and the sun was coming in through the trees because I had a late tee time, and it was kind of cold, and like you could just see all the shadows and everything. It was really cool. But outside of that, I felt very focused, and I didn't wasn't spacey, and I was able to stay focused essentially.
All right, day one, you finished six over. You're going into day two. You know the cut's gonna be somewhere around five, and you're right kind of on the cusp. Were you nervous about day two having to make the cut at that point, or what goes through your mind on the second day?
Um, I knew I had to play well to make the cut, and I know that's gonna be difficult. I birdied my first hole, and it was a good start, but you can't get ahead of yourself when you do that. I think I did a pretty good job of staying focused, and you just have to go out there and play golf. You can't really think about making the cut because if you do, you're definitely not going to be. And I think I did a good job of doing that.
Being around so many of the golfers that you've looked up to, you've always followed. You mentioned Lexi Thompson's kind of been your one that you've always looked up, and to know that they're on the same course competing against you at this time. I mean, that's got to be kind of cool to be able to look around and you go like, oh yeah, they're over there. You see them in the clubhouse and all that.
Yeah, you could tell who the future groups were because the big crowd would follow them. I actually played with Lexi in my practice round. She was awesome. I got along with her quite well. We didn't talk as much, but we were both very focused. I actually made a hole in one with her watching, so that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Oh, you're bearing the lead here. You made a hole in one. Was that your
Yeah.
first time?
No, that was my fourth hole in one. And she just happened to be playing in my group, and it was during the practice round, and it was awesome. But she's actually playing really well. She actually might win the tournament. I mean, I'm not trying to do that to her.
Knock on wood. We're not broadcaster jinxing right now.
Correct. She's playing very well right now.
Wow. So, I mean, if nothing else, you got a hole in one in front of somebody. That's a cool chapter for the book right there.
Yeah.
When you look at the names of the players that you beat, some notable names, Michelle Wie, Cheyenne Woods, the list goes on and on. Now that you look back at the leaderboard and you're like, all right, I did what I could. Do you feel like you belong at this point? Because you've kind of proven you play better than a lot of the people who are on the PGA tour.
Right. I do believe I belong. Not only did I beat some of the pros, I beat some of the good amateurs that I'm competing against now. So if I can do that and they're not playing as well in this tough conditions, I feel very my game is here and it's ready to compete against these girls.
What did you learn from your two rounds here at the U.S. Women's Open?
I learned that fairways are a premium. I didn't hit as many as I would have liked to. And that was just my main problem. Obviously, if you're not in the fairway and you're in that thick rough, you have to punch out, and pars are going to be hard to save from that point. But, you got to do what you got to do. And not only did I learn from watching the pros, but I was able to learn how to better myself, as in like those nerves and understanding like when a crowd cheers, like you can back off, it's okay. Like just the environment I got really comfortable being around.
Awesome. So you got final round coming up. What are you going to do the final round, and who are you going to watch, or what are you going to finish your U.S. Women's Open experience with?
I'm gonna watch Lexi, especially if she's in the lead, and that's gonna be awesome. I think just being in the environment as a spectator and trying to learn what the leaders are doing and just learn from them would be quite valuable. I don't know if I'll camp out on a certain hole, but I'll definitely indulge in some of the food and beverages that they have out on the course for us. But it's gonna be a little weird not playing and watching because I know that I could have been in that position. It might hurt a little, but as long as I can get something out of it, as in to learn something, I think that's all you can take away at that point.